Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk, intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for tuning to catch my drift here on 1600. Good to have you aboard, and what we do on the drift every Saturday is talk about the news that I put on the dailydrift.com. If you're not going there for your news and information and current events, you should be. www.thedailydrift.com. It's the news you need to know, and of course, share. If you're not on social media this campaign season, make sure you get on social media. This is what it takes to beat the criminal that is Hillary Clinton. So make sure you're doing that. And we go over the news we put there every week. And if you find a link to a story on the internet that I've missed for some reason or another, make sure you send it to me. You can email me, Gary@thedailydrift.com. You can also send your comments if you don't feel like calling into a show or just want to get hold of me behind the scenes, Gary@thedailydrift.com. That's my email. You can always call as well, 734-629-6010. And if this is your first time listening, you may not know that I am also the editor of the Current newspaper in southeast Michigan here, just north of Ann Arbor, Livingston, and Washtenaw counties. And the May edition of the Current is actually out. It's one of the few growing conservative newspapers in the country. So we've actually grown at 500% in the last 11 years now. And it's a pretty amazing little publication. So make sure you get over there and check out all of our sponsors. And speaking of sponsors, let's take care of some business. Our sponsor this half hour will be the Wellbridge Group. That's your bridge to recovery and wellness. You can catch their website, thewellbridgegroup.com. And you can call their Brighton location, 517-947-4400. They specialize in post-acute rehabilitation and nursing care. Wellbridge makes rehabilitation easier with smart design, innovative concepts, authentic hospitality, and commitment to our guests. Wellbridge centers are designed to provide a bridge to recovery and wellness. So if you have issues with rehabilitation, give Wellbridge a call. 517-947-4400, or go to thewellbridgegroup.com. They've got a lot of offices: Novi, Brighton, Fenton, Pinckney, Romeo, and Rochester Hills. So give them a call, 517-947-4400. Okay, so we're talking this week. The biggest news of all, of course, was Donald Trump winning the Indiana primary. And I thought myself that it was not going to be a good primary for Donald Trump. I was pretty assured that I wanted Trump to win. Don't get me wrong. You guys know, if you listened to this show before, that I am a Trump supporter. And I know that aggravates some of my listeners, but you know what? Hey, don't tell me I haven't done my share of work for Ted Cruz, because in the last year I gave Ted Cruz a lot of time on the show with his campaign director. And not going to speak anything bad about Ted Cruz today, but he did lose, and surprisingly made an announcement shortly after the results of the Indiana primary that he was going to get out of the race. The primary was pretty much a landslide for Donald Trump. I think he ended up with 53%, which is huge. And I think it goes to show you that, you know, this is kind of the mood of the country. And I think Indiana, being in the middle of the country, it's a mix of evangelicals, it's a mix of union people and unemployed people, and they've suffered in Indiana as much as they've suffered just about anywhere in the country in this recession. So it's kind of nice to see that Indiana is showing its true colors, and those true colors is that it wants change that it does not feel it can get from professional politicians. Now, you can say all the bad things you want about Trump, that he's not a true conservative. You can say that he's not a real Republican, that he's not a GOP, that he's a Democrat in sheep's clothing, or everything else. Listen, I think what's happening here is the people of the United States of America are seeing the curtains pulled back for the very first time. And this has hit me quite a bit. I think I talked about it a little bit last week. That for the first time, the curtains have been pulled back, and people are realizing that the United States of America is actually being run by two private organizations. And those two private organizations happen to be the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee. And that's an oligarchy, folks. This is not the way a country like ours, which was founded by guys who wanted part-time legislators who believed that government was inherently evil because it has the ability to grow and become this self-fulfilling monster that just grows and grows and feeds upon the population. I always want to say government is like the dog that you put on your porch to protect your house. If you feed it too much, it gets big. And if you entitle it and don't discipline it, it gets bigger and nastier. And pretty soon, you're trapped in the house. It becomes the master. And I think that's what's happened with us. We don't understand how quickly we've allowed the government. In 200 years is not a really big space of time. We were one of the youngest countries on the planet still, let's face it. And we've allowed our government to reach proportions where it now dictates to us, the voters, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is us. We control this. They're not supposed to be controlling us, and we've allowed that dog on the porch to get so big and so mean that it now controls us. And that's the way you've got to look at it. It's a parasite. So what do you do with an animal like that? Well, number one, you stop feeding it. Stop giving it everything that it asks for and everything that it wants. Get it back under control. Behavior is something that can be controlled. You just have to be willing to do that. And I don't think we have. We have literally turned our blind eyes and let the Democrats do whatever they want and use their touchy-feely. And they can say, the Democrats can say they're out for the people and they're there to help people. You know what? No, they're not. Do you really think Hillary Clinton gives one rat's banana about anybody in the African American community or anybody in the lesbian gay community? She does not. This is a woman who uses people like no other. This is a woman who finds the ability to lie so conveniently and so convincingly that people just fall under her spell. When people call her a witch on social media, it's not so far off the truth. Hillary Clinton is one of those rare people that has the ability to spellbound and talk a good game and bend people and manipulate them. And that is exactly what is happening. And you need to ask yourself why. Why would somebody want to do that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's better for her, better for her Clinton Foundation, better for her family. I mean, the Clinton Foundation is making billions of dollars, folks. This is what you've got to look at. The presidency is just 4 more years or 8 more years, if she could handle it, of a way to make the Clinton Foundation the biggest foundation on the planet. It would ensure that her corporation, her foundation, her family would be in control and in power for decades, if not centuries to come. And that's what's happening here. Now, you can use that excuse and say, well, hey, I don't know what she's going to do with it. I know what she's going to do with it. You know what she's going to do with it. She's going to try to control you and control all the people, not only of this country, but around the world. You've seen what they've done in Haiti, right? All the money that's been poured into Haiti. And the Clinton Foundation has a lot of connections with Haiti and the companies that are down there. But the people of Haiti are still suffering. Can you ask yourself why? Why has nothing changed in Haiti? Why are people still living in tents 8, 9 years later? Is that how long it's been? There's something wrong with people who do that. And Hillary Clinton is just a symptom of the culture that we've allowed to progress in this country. And we cannot give this woman 4 more years in the White House with her Bill husband backing her up. It's just not going to work that way. We've got to stop it. We've got to find a way to stop it. So I think as Americans we have, and that's Trump's big thing. You can say what you want. He's brash, he's bold, he's intimidating, he's a bully, whatever you want to use. But you know what? He's not politically correct. And I think people are finally realizing that that's okay. That's what we want. We're tired of it. This pulling back of the facade of representative democracy is wrong, and Bernie's showing it as well. Bernie has motivated young people, old people, and he's done well against a woman who has every advantage on the planet. And yet his delegate count sucks. Why? Because the Democrats have set it up so that there is no population making a decision. This is the few, the super delegates in the Democratic campaign that's calling the shots. You can like Bernie all you want. Unless Hillary gets indicted, she's going to be the Democratic nominee. And I would urge all Bernie supporters to get hold of Bernie. And I'm not saying this just to ensure that the Republicans can win. Bernie should run. And I would have told Donald Trump to run independent, I think, if they had stolen the election from him. And you know what? If the Republican Party wants to renege on their own pledge and go ahead and have a third party, I welcome that as well. Because you know what? It will at least show that there's some movement and that there's a break on this oligarchy that is the Democratic and Republican National Committees. They have done everything. Straight ticket voting. Here in Michigan, we've gotten rid of straight ticket voting, finally. Did you know that in Michigan, anyways, about 20% of all votes cast in a presidential election are straight ticket votes? That's somebody so lazy or so ideologically corrupt that they'll just pull the lever for anyone on that side of the ticket. And that's a disgrace. That's somebody who's not making a good decision. That's somebody who's not looking at a candidate for their character and for their decisions and for their record. That's just wrong. Straight ticket voting is terrible. If you've ever done straight ticket voting, you should be ashamed. I'm sorry to say it. You should be taking a look at a candidate for everything they stand for, what they're saying, what their past is, and all of that counts. I mean, that's the same argument some people will use against Trump. Well, look at his past, his record. He's supported Democrats in the past, and he's supported Hillary Clinton in the past. He's paid money, blah, blah, blah. Yes, of course he is. He's living under the system that politicians have crafted for us. They've crafted this procedure in this system where if you want to get something done, you need to make a donation. Now, in other countries, they just call it bribes. But a political donation is without a doubt, it is nothing other than a bribe. And we're going to talk a little bit about Cruz dropping out and, of course, John Kasich dropping out after we get back from the break. So we'll see you on the other side.
It's time now for Wham Talk 1600's Community Calendar with Brandon Drake.
The Brides Project has a mission to provide brides with a socially conscious, budget, and eco-friendly option for purchasing a bridal gown and use these proceeds at the cancer support community of Greater Ann Arbor for people touched by cancer. Are you the bride who loves to give back? After your big day, you can have your wedding celebration give back and enrich the lives of others by donating your bridal gown to the Brides Project. The Brides Project accepts gown donations from all over the U.S., then resells your donated gown to another happy bride, with proceeds from the sale benefiting the cancer support community of Greater Ann Arbor. This nonprofit organization provides free support services to people who have been touched by cancer. If you are a bride that wants to donate your gown or just volunteer, visit the website at www.thebridesproject.org. Rattle With Us is a grassroots organization located in southeastern Michigan that believes the people should take a stand against politicians who seek to increase their power, restrict individual liberty, and spend money that does not exist, and that the federal government and its influence in our lives should be limited. Rattle With Us knows that the United States of America has formed the best government in history. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights have given American citizens unprecedented freedom. To learn more about Rattle With Us events, monthly meetings, and how to get involved, go to www.rattlewithus.ning.com.
You've been listening to the Wham Community Calendar. To have your event publicized, email community@whamradio.com or write to Brandon Drake, COWAAM, 4230 Packard Road, Ann Arbor, 48108. Wham Talk 1600. In touch with your community. You're listening to The Drift on Wham Talk 1600. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. Now, back to your host, Gary Wellings.
And welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to catch my drift. And welcome to the show. Good to talk to you. I pontificated a little bit in that last segment about the election and about what we've seen. But I think it's important to know that that is indeed happening. And so I want people to get involved this campaign season like I'm doing. And you don't have to do a radio show. You don't have to do podcasts. And speaking of podcasts, you can certainly catch this show live every Saturday here at Wham Talk 1600. You can catch archives of my show at thedailydrift.com. Just click on that Common Sense Radio tab. But I've also been picked up by ICRN. I'm on conservativeradionetwork.com. And you can also find my stuff for the Daily Drift and the Drift at Spreaker. and SoundCloud and YouTube. It's all on there. Just look up The Drift, Gary Wellings.